The stars stretched endlessly across the dark sky, cold and silent. Captain Elias sat alone in the cockpit of his small ship, the Star Hunter. The hum of the engines was the only sound, steady and calm. He had been traveling for days without any sign of life, only drifting rocks and empty space. For most pilots, this silence was peace. For Elias, it was loneliness. He leaned back in his chair, eyes heavy, when the computer's alarm broke the silence. A sharp beep echoed through the cabin. Elias frowned and looked at the screen. "Unknown signal detected," the computer voice announced. Elias blinked. "A signal here? In this forgotten sector of space?" He tapped the controls. The signal was faint, almost dying. It flickered on the screen like a candle in a storm. He adjusted the frequency, listening carefully. At first it sounded like static, then something strange. A weak pulse, almost like a heartbeat. Elias leaned forward. It wasn't random. It was a distress call. "Coordinates locked," the computer said. Elias hesitated. This sector was not mapped. No trade routes, no colonies, no stations. Whoever sent that signal was either very unlucky or very important. He could ignore it, keep flying. But his heart told him otherwise. "Set course," he ordered. The ship turned silently, engines pushing toward the unknown. As minutes passed, the signal grew clearer. Elias felt a chill run down his spine. It was not human. The language was alien, soft and broken, like someone whispering through water. The words were impossible to understand, but one thing was certain. It was a cry for help. The darkness soon gave way to a haunting sight. Floating in the void was a small escape pod. Its metal was burned, twisted, scarred by weapons fire. Pieces of its hull drifted around like dead fragments. Elias's eyes narrowed. This was no accident. Someone had tried to erase this pod from existence. He brought the Star Hunter closer, lights cutting through the blackness. The pod looked ancient, but the distress beacon still blinked, weak and stubborn. Elias activated the docking arm and pulled the pod inside his cargo bay. The hiss of air pressure filled the chamber as the pod door slowly opened. Elias gripped his blaster, not sure what he would find. Inside, the air was cold and heavy. He stepped forward. There, curled in the corner, was a figure. Small, fragile, a girl. Her skin glimmered faintly, almost glowing under the dim lights. Her hair flowed like silver threads and her breathing was shallow, weak. She looked no older than a teenager by human years. Elias froze. He had never seen an alien like her before. He knelt down, checking her pulse. Alive. Barely. The sight stirred something deep inside him. Whoever she was, she had been hunted, attacked, left to die in the endless night. He couldn't just leave her here. Carefully, Elias lifted her into his arms. She was lighter than he expected, trembling even in sleep. He carried her to the med bay and placed her on the examination bed. The ship's AI scanned her body, life signs unstable. "Severe exhaustion, possible trauma," the AI reported. Elias grabbed a med kit, attaching oxygen support and hydration tubes. The girl's breathing steadied slightly. Her eyelids fluttered, but she did not wake. He stood over her, arms crossed, his mind heavy with questions. Who was she? Why was she attacked? And more importantly, who wanted her dead? The answers would come later. Right now, survival was what mattered. Elias turned back toward the cockpit, but his screen already flashed with new warnings. His ship's sensors had picked up movement. Multiple contacts, 3 vessels fast, armed, and heading straight for him. His heart pounded. They must have been tracking the pod. They knew she was still alive. In the med bay, the girl stirred, her lips moving faintly. Elias leaned closer, straining to hear. Her voice was weak, almost broken, but one word escaped, clear enough to understand. "Help." Elias clenched his fists. His ship was small, his weapons limited, but his decision was already made. He would not let them take her. The computer's alarm grew louder as the hostile ships closed in. Elias sat in the pilot's seat, eyes sharp, hands gripping the controls. He muttered under his breath, "Looks like trouble found me again." Outside, the stars seemed to grow darker as the hunters approached. Inside the ship, a fragile life depended on his choice. Elias knew one thing for certain. This was no ordinary rescue. And deep inside, a strange feeling whispered to him. This girl was not just a survivor. She was something far greater. Something worth protecting at any cost. The enemy ships closed in, their shadows blotting out the stars. Elias powered up his engines, ready for the storm. The Star Hunter shook as his ship prepared to run or fight. He glanced once more at the medbay camera where the alien girl lay unconscious, her faint glow shining like a hidden secret. Elias's eyes hardened. "Whoever you are," he whispered, "you're not alone anymore." The warning lights flashed red. The hunters were almost here, and in that moment Captain Elias realized the signal was not just a call for help. It was a call that would change his life forever. The Star Hunter rattled as enemy ships closed in, their engines burning like hungry predators chasing prey. Captain Elias's eyes never left the glowing red lights on his screen. 3 hostile vessels. They were fast and they were armed. He had only seconds to decide. Run or fight, neither option promised survival. In the medbay, the alien girl's breathing was shallow, her body trembling under the ship's soft lights. Elias knew she was too weak to survive another attack. If they captured her now, she would be gone forever. His jaw tightened. He had already chosen. He would protect her. No matter what. "Computer," Elias ordered. "Full power to engines. Lock shields at maximum." The ship responded with a rising hum, the engines straining as power surged. Outside, the hunters spread into formation, cutting off every escape path. Whoever they were, they had done this before. Elias gripped the controls, heart pounding. His ship was small, built for speed, not for war. But he had one advantage: he was human. And humans, when cornered, never surrendered. The first blast struck. The ship rocked violently, alarm screaming. Sparks burst from the console, the smell of burning wires filling the air. Elias held steady, eyes sharp. He dived the Star Hunter into the asteroid field ahead, the only cover in sight. Jagged rocks spun around him, some the size of cities, others sharp as blades. To most pilots, flying here was suicide. To Elias, it was survival. The hunters followed, their lasers cutting through stone, explosions lighting up the void. Elias twisted the ship hard left, then down, skimming along the surface of a massive asteroid. The alien girl moaned softly in the med bay, her voice trembling through the ship's speakers. Elias whispered under his breath, "Hold on. Just hold on." A missile streaked past, exploding in a flash that nearly blinded him. He yanked the controls, his ship spinning between 2 narrow cliffs of rock. The hunters closed in, faster, tighter. One wrong move and the Star Hunter would be torn apart. Then Elias saw it. A thin passage between 2 asteroids, barely wide enough for his ship. His lips curved into a grim smile. "Let's see if you can follow this," he muttered. He pushed the thrusters to maximum. The Star Hunter shot forward, engines screaming, metal straining under the pressure. The hunters fired, but their blast struck only stone. Elias darted into the narrow gap, scraping so close that sparks flew from his wings. The enemy ships tried to follow. One made it halfway through before colliding with the rock wall, exploding in a violent flash. The shockwave rattled the asteroids, debris raining down. Elias kept flying, heart racing, but 2 hunters still remained. The girl stirred again. For the first time, her eyes opened, silver, bright, filled with fear. She looked around, confusion painting her fragile face. Elias's voice was calm, steady, though his ship shook under enemy fire. "You're safe. I've got you." She tried to speak, her words broken, strange, but her fear was clear. She pointed toward the hunters on the screen, her hand shaking. Her lips moved, struggling to form a word in his language. "Run," she whispered. Elias's chest tightened. She understood the danger. She had lived it. Whoever she was, these hunters wanted her silenced. He flew deeper into the asteroid maze, using every skill he had. Rocks smashed together, grinding with ancient force, and Elias weaved between them like a shadow. Another hunter ship clipped an asteroid and spun out of control, vanishing into the darkness. One left, but the last hunter was clever. It matched his every move, waiting for him to make a mistake. Elias cursed under his breath. His ship couldn't take much more. Shields were weakening. Engines were overheating. He needed a plan fast. Then his eyes caught sight of something. A giant asteroid ahead, hollowed out with a cave large enough to fit his ship. Dangerous, yes, but dangerous was all he had left. "Computer," Elias said, "cut engines on my mark." The hunter closed in, preparing to fire the final shot. Elias sped toward the asteroid cave, the mouth of darkness rushing closer. At the last second, he gave the order, "Mark!" The engines died. The Star Hunter dropped like a stone, gliding silently into the cave. The hunter's sensors lost him for a split second. That was enough. The enemy overshot, flying past the cave. Elias reignited the engines, spinning the ship around and firing his last missile. The explosion tore through the hunter's hull and the vessel vanished in a burst of fire. Silence. Elias let out a slow breath, sweat dripping down his forehead. His ship was damaged but alive. More importantly, the girl was safe for now. He returned to the medbay, kneeling beside her. Her silver eyes followed him, wide with fear but also trust. She whispered again, her voice faint. Why? Elias looked at her, his voice quiet but firm. Because no one deserves to be hunted. Not while I'm here. The girl's eyes glistened, and for the first time her lips curved into the smallest hint of relief. But Elias knew this was only the beginning. Whoever wanted her dead would not stop, and he had just made himself their enemy. As the Star Hunter drifted silently among the asteroids, the girl closed her eyes once more. Elias sat beside her, the weight of his choice pressing down. Out there, across the stars, someone powerful wanted this girl gone. And now, a lone human had made a promise to stand in their way. The asteroid field was quiet again, but Captain Elias knew the silence would not last. His hands hovered over the controls, eyes locked on the scanner. The destroyed enemy ship's remains still floated outside, glowing faintly from the blast, but silence in space was never safety. It was only the pause before danger returned. In the med bay, the alien girl rested. Her silver eyes had closed once more, her fragile body weak from exhaustion. She looked peaceful, but Elias knew her peace would be short. He had fought off the first wave, but others would come. The hunters would not give up so easily. The computer's voice broke the silence. Warning! Multiple new signatures detected. Estimated arrival, 2 minutes. Elias cursed under his breath. More ships faster than before. This time he would not have the luxury of hiding in asteroids. He had to move. Computer, plot an escape course. Escape route limited, the AI replied. Pursuit probability, 94%. The odds were terrible, but Elias had never cared much for odds. He launched the Star Hunter forward, leaving the broken rocks behind. The engines roared, pushing the ship into the open void. Stars streaked past as the ship gained speed. Moments later, 3 sleek hunter vessels appeared on his screen. They were larger than the first wave, with sharper hulls and glowing crimson markings. They moved in perfect formation like predators circling their prey. Elias gritted his teeth. These weren't simple raiders. They were professionals. The hunters closed in, their weapons already charging. Elias twisted the ship, dodging the first barrage of plasma fire. Blue light streaked past, close enough to shake his shields. The ship groaned under the strain. The alien girl stirred again, her voice faint through the medbay speaker. Danger, she whispered, her words trembling. Elias glanced at her feed, his jaw tightening. I know, but I'm not letting them take you. The hunters spread out, boxing him in. One moved above, one below, one directly behind. They were hurting him, pushing him toward an empty stretch of space. Elias understood the trap instantly. If they forced him into open void, he would have nowhere to run. His mind raced. He had to outthink them. Speed alone would not save him. He scanned the map, searching for anything he could use. Then he saw it. A massive gas giant nearby, its swirling storms lit by lightning. Dangerous, unstable, but maybe just the cover he needed. Computer, Elias said. Set course for the gas giant. Max speed. The ship obeyed, engines screaming louder as it veered toward the giant planet. The hunters followed without hesitation. Plasma bolts cut through the darkness, one grazing his hull. Alarms blared as sparks lit the cockpit. Elias didn't flinch. The Star Hunter plunged into the gas giant's upper atmosphere. Immediately, the ship shook violently. Winds roared, lightning cracked around him, storms spinning like endless whirlpools. His controls trembled in his hands, warning lights flashing everywhere. The hunters dove in after him, their ships slicing through the storm with frightening precision. Elias pushed harder, flying deeper, weaving through raging clouds of gas and fire. Lightning bolts struck dangerously close, painting the sky white. The alien girl's voice came again, weak but urgent. They want me. Gone. Elias's eyes narrowed. He still didn't know who she was, but whoever wanted her dead had resources far greater than his own. And yet she was just a fragile girl. Why such fear of her? What made her so dangerous? He didn't have time for answers now. The hunters fired again, their shots lighting up the storm. Elias rolled the Star Hunter sharply, diving into a spiraling vortex. The ship nearly tore apart. Alarm screaming, but the sudden move caught one hunter off guard. The storm swallowed the enemy vessel. Lightning flashed and the hunter ship exploded in a burst of fire and smoke. The other two remained, angrier than ever. Elias breathed hard, sweat dripping down his forehead. "One down," he muttered. "Two to go." The remaining hunters pressed harder, one on his tail, the other trying to cut him off. Elias twisted, darting through walls of gas and thunder. His ship groaned, warning him of critical stress, but he refused to stop. He spotted another chance, a massive lightning storm ahead, bolts striking non-stop like a wall of fire. If he timed it right, he could slip through. If not, he and the girl would be ash. "Hold on," Elias whispered. He dove into the storm. Lightning exploded around him, the ship shaking violently. The hunters followed, their shields sparking under the assault. Elias weaved left, then right, narrowly avoiding a deadly strike. One hunter wasn't so lucky. A bolt of pure energy struck its hull, tearing it apart instantly. Elias shot out the other side, battered but alive. Only one hunter remained, but this last ship was different. It didn't attack right away. It matched his speed, staying just close enough to remind him. It wasn't leaving. It was waiting. Elias frowned. "You're smarter than the others." The alien girl opened her eyes again, staring at the screen where the hunter ship glowed like a predator's eye. She pointed weakly, her silver gaze filled with dread. "That symbol," she whispered. "They know me." Elias zoomed in. The hunter's hull bore a crimson crest, sharp and cruel. He didn't recognize it, but the fear in her eyes told him enough. Whoever commanded that ship wanted her more than anything. The hunter finally moved, charging weapons for the killing blow. Elias gripped the controls tighter, refusing to let go. "This isn't over," he muttered. And in that storm-filled sky, with lightning burning the heavens, the chase had only just begun. The gas giant storm still raged outside, flashes of white lightning splitting the endless clouds. Captain Elias gripped the controls tightly, sweat dripping down his forehead. His ship had survived longer than it should have, but the chase was far from over. Behind him, the last hunter ship stayed close, silent and patient, waiting for the perfect strike. In the med bay, the alien girl sat weakly against the bed, her silver eyes open now, watching the storm on the screen. She seemed both terrified and strangely calm, as if she had seen death many times before. Her soft voice carried through the speakers. "They will never stop." Elias's jaw tightened. "Maybe not, but I'll make sure they fail." The girl shook her head, her fragile form trembling. "You don't understand. They don't hunt me because I escaped. They hunt me because of who I am." Elias glanced at her feed. Her words cut through the chaos. He had saved strangers before, but this was different. There was something about her, something more. "Then tell me," he said firmly, dodging another blast of enemy fire. "Why are they chasing you? Who are you?" For a moment, she didn't answer. She lowered her gaze as if afraid to speak. Then, in a trembling whisper, the truth spilled out. "I am the last heir of Illyria." The name meant nothing to Elias, but the way she said it carried weight. She was not just a survivor. She was a symbol, a living reminder of a world that no longer existed. Her silver eyes shimmered as tears gathered. "My people, all gone, burned, erased because of war. They want to finish it by killing me too." Elias felt his chest tighten. He had heard of wars, entire colonies destroyed by empires, but this was worse. A whole world gone, and now only one girl left. The hunter ship fired again, the blast shaking the Star Hunter. Elias steadied the controls, but his mind raced. Protecting her meant standing against whoever destroyed Illyria. An empire powerful enough to erase an entire planet would not forgive one human standing in their way. "Why not hide?" Elias asked. "Why not stay silent?" The girl's voice grew stronger, sharper. "Because my bloodline carries power. A power they fear. As long as I live, I am a threat to them." Elias frowned. "What kind of power?" She hesitated. "Not a weapon. Not fire or steel. Something deeper. Something inside me. It's why they fear me. Why they will send fleets, armies, until I am gone." Her words sank into him like a weight. Elias had thought he was saving a lost child. But this was bigger, far bigger. He wasn't just carrying a refugee. He was carrying the spark of a fallen kingdom. The ship shook violently again. Sparks flew across the cockpit as a blast grazed the shields. The hunter ship was growing tired of the chase. It wanted blood. Elias spoke calmly, though his heart pounded. If they want you dead because of fear, then that's their mistake. I've never walked away from a fight like that. The girl's eyes widened. Why risk yourself for me? You don't even know me. Elias allowed himself a small, grim smile. Maybe I don't know you, but I know what it means to stand against bullies. And I'm not about to hand you over. The girl stared at him for a long moment. Then her eyes softened, filled with something new, trust. Outside, the hunter closed in. The red glow of its weapons lit the clouds. The storm around them screamed louder, lightning striking like the anger of gods. Elias's ship was battered, his weapons nearly drained. The odds were impossible. The computer's cold voice confirmed it. Warning, shield capacity at 12%. Weapons charge critical. Probability of defeat 97%. Elias ignored the numbers. Prepare all weapons, he ordered. We fight. The girl leaned closer to the screen, her fragile body trembling but her voice steady. You don't understand. No human ship can face them, not even you. Then we'll make them bleed before they take us, Elias said. His voice was steady, calm, as if facing death was nothing new. The girl's eyes shone brighter, almost glowing now. She reached toward the camera, her hand pressing against the glass as if trying to reach him. Maybe you are different. Maybe you are the reason I survived. For a moment, silence filled the cabin. Only the storm outside roared. Elias looked into her eyes on the screen, and for the first time he felt something more than duty. This wasn't just a mission. It was destiny. The hunter ship broke formation, moving in for the kill. Its crimson crest glowed like fire. The girl gasped, recognizing it. That mark, it belongs to the Crimson Dominion. They destroyed Illyria. They will destroy you too. Elias's voice was firm. Not today. He tightened his grip on the controls, eyes narrowing, determination burning in his chest. The hunter fired. The Star Hunter shook violently, alarm screaming, metal groaning under the force. Elias pushed the engines to their limit, turning sharply into the storm, weapons primed. Behind him, the alien girl whispered the truth to herself, her voice trembling. A human, the last hope of Illyria. Elias's eyes burned with resolve. He didn't care about bloodlines, empires, or odds. All he knew was this. She was under his protection now, and nothing in the galaxy would take her from him. The Star Hunter shook violently as another blast struck the shields. Captain Elias gritted his teeth, fighting the controls. Warning lights flashed across the cockpit. The ship was taking too much damage. One more direct hit and it would be over. Behind him, the alien girl clutched the edge of her bed, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. She was weak but awake now. She stared at the screen showing the hunter ship, its crimson crest burning like fire in the storm. They won't stop, she whispered. They can't let me live. Elias kept his eyes forward. Then they picked the wrong human to chase. The hunter ship loomed closer, its weapons charging. Plasma cannons glowed red, ready to tear the Star Hunter apart. Elias's ship had little left, shields low, weapons drained, engines overheating. But surrender was never an option, he muttered under his breath. Computer, give me everything. Weapons, shields, engines, push it all. Warning, the AI replied. Overload may destroy the ship. Then we destroy them first, Elias growled. The engines roared as power surged. Sparks flew from the panels, but the ship pushed harder, faster. Elias pulled the Star Hunter into a dive, weaving through the lightning storms. Plasma fire cut through the clouds behind him, missing by inches. The hunter chased close, relentless. Elias fired his last missiles. They streaked across the sky, vanishing into the storm. The hunter dodged easily, its shields deflecting the blasts. Elias cursed under his breath. He was running out of tricks. The alien girl's voice came over the speaker, soft but urgent. You can't win. Not against them. Elias's hands tightened on the controls. Winning doesn't matter. Protecting you does. The girl's eyes widened. She had never heard such words before. No one had ever risked everything for her. For a moment, the fear in her face softened into something else. Hope. The hunter ship fired again, the blast ripping through Elias's shields. The Star Hunter shook violently, alarms screaming. Metal groaned as the hull cracked under pressure. Elias coughed from the smoke filling the cockpit. His vision blurred, but his focus never wavered. He pulled the ship into a sharp climb, heading straight for the thickest storm cloud. Lightning exploded around him, striking dangerously close. The hunter followed, its weapons glowing brighter. Elias's mind raced. He couldn't outrun them. He couldn't outgun them. But maybe, just maybe, he could outthink them. The storm ahead churned with violent energy. Massive bolts of lightning danced between swirling clouds. Elias saw it, the perfect trap, he whispered. Come on, follow me. The hunter ship moved in, closer and closer, its weapons locked. Elias pulled the Star Hunter straight into the heart of the storm. Lightning flashed all around, blinding and deafening. He pushed deeper, ignoring the warning screaming across his screen. The hunter stayed close, matching his every move. Its plasma cannons locked on, ready to fire. Elias flipped a switch. The ship's hull released metallic flares, scrap pieces from his cargo hold. They scattered into the storm like shards of glass. The hunter's sensors locked onto the fragments, confused for a split second. And in that moment, lightning struck. A massive bolt ripped through the storm, striking the hunter ship's hull. The explosion lit the sky brighter than a sun. The enemy vessel cracked, twisted, and burst into flames before vanishing into the swirling clouds. The storm fell quiet again. Only the Star Hunter remained, battered but alive. Elias slumped back in his chair, breathing hard. His body ached, his head throbbed, but his eyes burned with determination. He had survived. In the medbay, the alien girl sat frozen, staring at the screen in shock. She had watched humans before, but never like this. Never a man who fought against impossible odds just to keep her safe. Her voice trembled as she whispered, Why would you risk everything for me? Elias turned his head slightly, his voice low but steady. Because you deserve to live. Because you asked for help. And humans answer. The girl's silver eyes filled with tears. For the first time she smiled. A small, fragile smile, but real. Before Elias could speak again, the computer's alarm broke the silence. Warning. Multiple new signatures detected. Estimated arrival 5 minutes. Elias froze. His heart sank. More ships, bigger, stronger. He closed his eyes for a moment, steadying himself. This fight wasn't over. The hunters would keep coming until either he fell, or they did. He looked at the girl again. Her fragile form, her glowing eyes, her quiet strength. She was more than just a survivor. She was the last spark of a fallen world, and now she was under his protection. Elias leaned forward, gripping the controls once more. His voice was steady, unshaken. Then we fight again. The girl watched him, her trust growing stronger. For the first time, she believed she might have a future, because a human had chosen to stand for her. Outside, the storms raged on, lightning flashing like the drums of war. And somewhere beyond, more hunters drew closer, carrying the weight of an empire. But Elias didn't care about odds. He cared only about the girl he had sworn to protect, and in the endless dark of space, one human's courage burned brighter than any star. The Star Hunter drifted in silence after the storm. The hull was scarred, the engines burned hot, and smoke still lingered in the cockpit. But for now, the ship was alive. Captain Elias sat in his chair, breathing hard, staring at the stars beyond the cracked window. The alien girl lay in the medbay, her silver eyes open, watching him through the small camera feed. She looked fragile, her glowing skin dim from exhaustion, yet her gaze was steady, searching his face with curiosity and confusion. She finally spoke, her voice soft but trembling. Why do you do this? You fight for me even when it means death. Why? Elias leaned back, wiping sweat from his brow. He didn't answer right away. He let the silence hang in the air, his thoughts heavy. Outside, stars twinkled quietly, but the danger of more hunters pressed on his mind. He knew they were coming. The question was only when. At last he spoke. Because you asked for help. The girl tilted her head. That is all? Elias's voice grew sharper but not unkind. That's enough. When someone cries out, when someone is hunted, humans answer. Maybe we don't always win, maybe we don't always survive, but we don't look away. Her eyes widened. She had expected a different answer. Maybe glory, maybe greed, maybe survival. But not this. Not something so simple and yet so powerful. She whispered, No one has ever stood for me before. Not my people, not even my family. They were too afraid. Elias's gaze hardened. Then you've never met a human before. For a moment, the medbay was quiet. The girl's tears glistened in the dim light. She pressed her hand weakly against the glass as if trying to reach him through the screen. Elias looked at her hand, then at her eyes. For the first time since the chase began, he allowed himself to feel something other than anger or duty. He felt connection. He felt purpose, but the peace didn't last. The computer's voice broke in, cold and sharp. Warning. Enemy fleet detected. 12 ships inbound. Estimated arrival 1 minute. Elias's jaw tightened. 12. Not 3. Not even 5. 12 heavily armed warships. The Crimson Dominion wasn't sending hunters anymore. They were sending a fleet. The girl's silver eyes widened in terror. It's them. They won't stop now. They'll burn you. Your ship, everything. Until I am gone. Elias stood, his steps heavy as he walked back to the cockpit controls. He stared at the scanner, the red dots multiplying quickly. His mind raced. His ship couldn't fight 12 warships. Not even close. The computer whispered what he already knew. Survival odds. Less than 1%. The girl's voice broke through the static, weak but desperate. Please, run. Leave me, save yourself. If I die, at least you live. Elias spun toward the camera, his eyes blazing. No, I didn't save you just to hand you over to death. I don't run from monsters. The girl shook her head, tears running down her cheeks. You don't understand. Protecting me will kill you. No one can fight them. Elias's voice dropped low, steady as steel. Then we fight anyway. The girl stared at him, her lips trembling. She had never seen such madness before. Yet deep inside she felt something else. It wasn't madness. It was courage. A courage she had never known, not even among her people. Outside, the enemy fleet broke from hyperspace. 12 warships filled the sky, their crimson crests glowing like blood across the void. Their weapons charged, lighting the darkness with deadly fire. The Star Hunter shook as the first blasts struck its shields. Elias gripped the controls, his ship groaning under the storm. He dodged, twisted, dove, but the fleet was everywhere. Beams of plasma cut across space, each one a hammer of destruction. The alien girl cried out as the ship jolted. You can't hold them. You'll die! Elias shouted over the alarms, his voice burning with defiance. Then I die standing, not kneeling. The girl gasped at his words. Her heart pounded, her tears falling faster. She had seen soldiers, warriors, kings, but none like him. This human, alone in a broken ship, facing an empire without fear. The Star Hunter spun through the chaos, weapons firing desperately. 2 enemy fighters exploded under his guns, but 10 more pressed closer. Shields dropped to 30%, then 20. Warning lights screamed red across the cockpit. The girl clutched her chest, her body trembling. Something inside her stirred, something old, something powerful. Her silver eyes glowed brighter, her skin shining faintly. She whispered to herself, No, I can't let him fall for me. I can't! But her body betrayed her. A strange warmth spread through her veins. Energy hummed in her blood, pulsing like fire. Her royal heritage, her hidden power, was awakening. Elias struggled to keep control, smoke filling the cockpit. Another blast rocked the ship, sparks bursting from the ceiling. The shields collapsed. The next hit would tear them apart. The girl's voice rose, stronger now, almost glowing with energy. Elias, you are not alone. Her body lit up like a star, her glow spreading through the medbay. Energy coursed out of her, flowing into the ship itself. Consoles flickered, engines roared louder, and the shield shimmered back to life with new strength. Elias's eyes widened. He felt the ship surge under his hands, alive again. The impossible was happening. The girl's voice echoed, no longer weak, but powerful. Together, we fight. The fleet loomed closer, weapons blazing. But the Star Hunter was no longer just a fragile ship. It carried something greater, human courage and alien power united. Elias tightened his grip, a fierce smile breaking across his face. For the first time, he believed they had a chance. The battle for survival was only beginning. The sky outside burned red with plasma fire as the Crimson Dominion fleet surrounded the Star Hunter. 12 massive warships moved in perfect formation, their glowing crests shining like blood across the stars. The little human ship looked like a candle in a storm, fragile and small, ready to be snuffed out. Captain Elias gripped the controls, sweat dripping down his face. His ship was nearly broken, hull cracked, weapons drained, shields collapsing. By all logic, this was the end. But Elias's eyes burned with defiance. He would not surrender. He would not hand her over. In the medbay, the alien girl glowed brighter than ever. Her silver eyes blazed with light, her skin shimmering like liquid fire. Energy pulsed from her body, flowing into the ship, strengthening it, keeping it alive. For the first time, Elias felt the Star Hunter respond with new power, as if her heartbeat and the ship's engines had become one. The girl's voice filled the cockpit, no longer weak, but strong, commanding. I will not run anymore. They will not take me, not while you stand. Elias glanced at her feed, his lips curving into a grim smile. Then let's make them regret coming. The enemy fleet opened fire. Dozens of plasma bolts streaked through space, blazing toward the Star Hunter. But instead of collapsing, the ship surged forward, shields burning brighter, reinforced by the girl's power. The first wave of fire struck, but the shields held. Elias twisted the ship, dodging between blasts, weaving through destruction. He fired back, his guns glowing hotter than before, powered by her energy. 2 enemy fighters exploded in bursts of fire, their wreckage spinning into the void. The girl's glow intensified, her voice echoing. Illyria's blood still lives. They will not erase me. Not today. Her power spread further, a wave of energy radiating from her body, reaching beyond the ship. The Dominion's warships faltered for a moment, their systems flickering, their weapons stalling. The fleet staggered, confused, vulnerable. Elias seized the chance. Now, he shouted, launching every last missile. They streaked across the battlefield, striking warship hulls, tearing through their armor. Explosions lit the void like a second sun. 3 Dominion ships crumbled in fire, pieces breaking away into the storm. But the fleet was vast and their rage burned hotter. The surviving ships regrouped, forming a deadly wall, their weapons recharged, brighter than before. The girl gasped, her energy flickering. She was strong, but the strain was heavy. Her fragile body trembled, her glow faltering for a moment. Elias saw it instantly. Hold on, he said, his voice firm. Don't burn yourself out. Her silver eyes looked into the camera, wide with determination. No, this is my fight too. My people died because I was weak. I will not hide again. Before Elias could argue, she raised her hand. A burst of light erupted from her palm, passing through the walls of the ship, spreading across the battlefield. The energy wave struck the Dominion fleet like a storm, disabling their shields, freezing their weapons. Elias's eyes widened. He had never seen anything like it. This wasn't technology. This wasn't science. This was power, something ancient, something feared. The Dominion ships faltered, helpless for the first time. Elias fired again, blasting 2 more vessels apart. The battlefield filled with fire and wreckage, the once mighty fleet now crippled. But in the med bay, the girl collapsed forward, gasping. Her glow dimmed, her strength drained. She had given everything. Elias's heart pounded. He wanted to rush to her, but the last Dominion warship moved forward, its cannons glowing brighter than ever. They had one final chance. The girl lifted her head, her silver eyes faint but steady. She whispered, "Together." Elias nodded, his grip firm on the controls. Together. He pushed the engines to full, the Star Hunter roaring forward. At the same time, the girl unleashed one last surge of energy, her body glowing like a star about to burst. The ship became a spear of light, crashing through the enemy's final barrage. Plasma fire burned around them, but the light cut through. Elias fired the last of his weapons, striking the Dominion warship dead center. The explosion tore across space, brighter than a sun, shaking the heavens. When the light faded, the Dominion fleet was gone. Destroyed or scattered, their power broken. Silence fell. Only the battered Star Hunter drifted in the void, alive against all odds. Elias slumped in his chair, exhausted, his body shaking. He looked toward the med bay camera. The girl lay on the bed, unconscious, her glow dim but steady. She was alive. He whispered softly, "You did it." But as he watched her, he realized the truth. He hadn't just saved her. He had protected something far greater. This girl was not simply the last heir of a fallen world. She was something the galaxy had never seen before, something that could change everything. Her power was not only survival. It was destiny. The computer's voice broke the silence. Warning. Long-range sensors detect Dominion reinforcements. Estimated arrival, 3 hours. Elias leaned back, his tired eyes narrowing. The fight wasn't over. The Crimson Dominion would come again, stronger, more furious. They would never forgive what had happened here. But as he looked once more at the alien girl sleeping peacefully, he felt no fear. Instead, he felt resolve. He whispered, "They don't know what they've started." The stars stretched endlessly before him, vast and uncertain. But Elias knew one thing for sure. He wasn't just protecting her anymore. Together they were about to change the fate of galaxies and the universe. Was not ready.